If you're getting SNAP benefits, you need to hear this right now. The Trump administration just confirmed they're sending out SNAP payments for November, but there's a catch. You're only getting 50% of your normal benefit amount. And some of you might not see that money for several days or even weeks. I know this is incredibly stressful, especially if you're already stretching every dollar just to put food on the table. So today, we're breaking down exactly what's happening, when you can expect your payment, and what this means for December. Here's what we're covering today. First, I'm going to explain why SNAP benefits are only being funded at 50% this month, and where that money is actually coming from. Then we'll talk about when you can expect to see this partial payment hit your EBT card, because it's not happening all at once. We'll also cover the real concerns about what happens next month if the government shutdown continues. And I'll share some action steps you can take right now to prepare and protect yourself. This is a developing situation, so stick with me through the whole video. Let's get into it. Okay, so here's what just happened. 2 federal judges ruled on Friday that the Trump administration has to use contingency funds to pay SNAP benefits during the government shutdown. And on Monday, the administration confirmed they would comply with that court order. But here's the problem. They're only paying out 50% of what you normally receive. Let me explain where this 50% number comes from, because it's important. The USDA has access to $5.25 billion in SNAP contingency funds. That's emergency money set aside for situations exactly like this. But here's the thing. SNAP costs about $8 to $9 billion per month to fully fund for all 42 million Americans who receive benefits. So that $5.25 billion, it only covers about 54% of what's needed for a full month. Now, it gets more complicated. Out of that $5.25 billion, $600 million is being used to cover administrative costs. That's the money states need to actually process and distribute benefits. That leaves $4.65 billion for actual household payments. And that works out to roughly 50% of your normal benefit amount. I know that's a lot of numbers. Here's what it means for you. If you normally receive $300 in SNAP benefits, you're getting $150 this month. If your usual benefit is $600, you're getting $300. It's being cut in half across the board. Now, the big question everyone's asking is, when am I actually getting this money? And unfortunately, the answer is not simple. The federal government started the process today, but that doesn't mean the money is hitting your EBT card today. This is where things get really frustrating. Here's the problem. This has never been done before. In the entire history of the SNAP program, we have never had to issue partial payments. States don't have a system in place to just flip a switch and send out 50%. They have to recalculate every single household's benefit amount. And according to a USDA official, that could take some states anywhere from a few days to several weeks, or even months in some cases. Think about it. We're talking about 42 million people across all 50 states. Each person has a different benefit amount based on their household size and income. All of that has to be manually adjusted to 50%. And here's another issue. The federal government has been shut down. Some of the people who normally process these payments aren't working. And the ones who are considered essential, many of them are calling out sick because they're not getting paid anyway. So the timeline really depends on your state. Some states might get payments out in the next few days. Others could take weeks. The best thing you can do right now is keep checking your EBT card balance. Call the number on the back of your card, or check your state's EBT app regularly. The moment your state processes the payment, it'll show up there. All right, now we need to talk about the bigger picture here, because this 50% payment only covers half a month. Let me read you something from someone who actually works in the SNAP program in Washington State. They said, and I quote, "This is a huge win for almost 1 million people. Here in Washington, we have just under 1 million people collecting SNAP each month. We send out around $175 million in benefits each month, and without this money, these families would go hungry." But then they said this, "The real problem will come next month, when the federal government doesn't have access to any additional contingency funds. What happens then?" That's the question everyone's asking right now. These contingency funds are a one-time thing. Once they're gone, they're gone. There's no more backup money sitting there for December. If the government shutdown continues into next month, states are going to have to make some really tough decisions. Some states are already considering whether they should use their own funds to supplement SNAP benefits. Others are wondering if they should hold back some of the current money to help food banks if this crisis extends into December. I don't want to scare you, but I do want you to be prepared. This is uncharted territory. We've never been here before. And nobody knows exactly how this is going to play out. There's one more thing we need to talk about, and it's causing a lot of confusion. The Trump administration has been implementing new work requirements for SNAP recipients. You have to prove you're working a certain number of hours per week, or going to school, or doing community service to receive benefits. But here's the problem. The federal government is shut down. The offices where you're supposed to file this paperwork, they're closed. The people who are supposed to process your verification, they're not working, so some people who should be receiving benefits might not get them because their paperwork hasn't been processed. And other people might receive payments they're not actually eligible for anymore because the system can't verify their current status. It's a mess, honestly. And it's creating even more delays in getting these partial payments out. If you've been trying to submit verification paperwork for your SNAP benefits, keep copies of everything. Document when you tried to submit it. This could be really important later if there are any issues with your benefits. So here's what you need to do right now. First, start checking your EBT card balance every day. Don't wait for a notification. Call the number on the back of your card or use your state's app. That's how you'll know when your 50% payment arrives. Second, make a plan for stretching that reduced benefit. I know it's not easy, but think about how you can make that 50% last as long as possible. Focus on staple foods that go further. Rice, beans, pasta, oats, eggs, and frozen vegetables are your friends right now. Third, reach out to your local food bank immediately. Don't wait until you run out of food. Food banks exist for exactly this kind of emergency, and they're not going to judge you for needing help. In fact, many food banks are already preparing for an increased demand because of this situation. You can find your nearest food bank by calling 211 or visiting feedingamerica.org. These resources are completely separate from SNAP, so using them won't affect your benefits at all. Fourth, if you have any verification paperwork pending for your SNAP case, keep trying to submit it. Call your local office and ask if there's an emergency process. Keep documentation of every attempt you make. And finally, stay informed. This situation is changing day by day. Subscribe to our channel because we're monitoring this closely and will update you the moment anything changes. Now, this SNAP situation is connected to the broader government shutdown that's affecting multiple programs. If you're also receiving Social Security or SSI, those payments are still going out as scheduled because they're considered mandatory spending. We covered that in our last video, so check that out if you're worried about your Social Security check. But other programs like WIC are also being affected by the shutdown. If you have young children and you receive WIC benefits, you need to check with your state about their contingency plans. We're also hearing reports that some benefit programs and housing assistance may be impacted. We'll be covering all of these updates as more information becomes available. The bottom line is this. If you rely on any federal assistance program, now is the time to line up backup resources. Contact local charities, churches, and community organizations. Ask about emergency food assistance, utility help, and other services they might offer. If this video helped you understand what's happening with your SNAP benefits, please hit that like button. It helps us reach more people who desperately need this information right now. And if you haven't subscribed, do that now and turn on the notification bell. We're posting updates about this situation as it develops, and you don't want to miss critical information that could affect your benefits. Drop a comment below and let us know. Have you received your 50% SNAP payment yet? What state are you in? Your comments help other viewers know what to expect in their area. Share this video with anyone you know who receives SNAP benefits. A lot of people still don't know this is happening, and they need to be prepared. All right, friends, I know this is scary news. Getting half of your SNAP benefits when you're already struggling is not okay. And the uncertainty about December makes it even worse. But please know that you're not alone in this. Millions of Americans are in the same situation, and there are resources available to help you through this. We're going to keep monitoring this situation and bringing you updates the moment we know anything. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss those videos. Take care of yourself, reach out for help if you need it, and remember that this is temporary. We will get through this. I'll see you in the next video. Stay strong.